All right. Hello, hello, hello. Happy Monday and welcome back to the channel. All right. And so today I'm going to be talking about is final expense. Is final expense a um a good insurance or not? Okay. And so real quick, if you are new to me or to the channel or any of my content, my name is Katrice, and I am a licensed health and life insurance agent. And on this channel, I teach women entrepreneurs how to increase their wealth using insurance, financial estate, and retirement planning. And I also sprinkle in some mindset motivation because we all need that, and financial astrology. Okay. And so if that's your vibe, then welcome to the tribe. And so as you are watching this live, if you are being enriched by the content, then please do give it a like. It shows YouTube that you like my content. Okay. All right, so let's go ahead. Let's jump into it. We're talking about final expense. Is final expense insurance good? Okay. Well, first of all, let's talk about what final expense is. Okay. So final expense, it is life insurance. Okay, and it's life insurance um, where where having a medical condition doesn't like stop you. Okay, so it's for people who have medical concerns that limit them from becoming underwritten, getting underwritten, or maybe they just waited way too long in life to get life insurance, and so now they're like, I just need to get a little something to bury me. Okay, and so that is final expense. It is typically for the age groups of people 50 to 85. However, some carriers do start accepting final expense insurance from people who are 45. I've seen as low as 45, um, all the way up to 85 and even 90. Okay. Now it is a lower face amount, so anywhere from 2,000 to 50,000. Um, and so even though you can't get like these really high amounts, it is a way to have coverage so that your loved ones don't have to get a GoFundMe or sell fish plates. Okay. All right. So what is some pros and cons of final expense insurance? Okay. So the pros of final expense is it it is affordable. Okay. Um, it is easy qualifications. It's level premium. Okay. Um, you can use it for any reason. It's a guaranteed death benefit. It's not taxable as far as when the insurance proceeds pay out, and it's available to people of all health statuses, health ranges. You don't have to be healthy in order to get final expense. Okay. Now, some cons to final expense is lower face amounts. It does It's affordable, but it does cost more than somebody who wasn't sick or didn't have medical conditions. Um, it does require some wait periods, meaning that you may have to wait a little longer for, like, it could be contestable after 2 years. Um, well, before 2 years, before you've had the policy for 2 years. If you were to die before the 2 years, the insurance company does have the right to contest the death. Um, Now, if you were to live too long, then that means that you would be paying more than premium than the death benefit. And so it really just depends upon when you get your policy. But all in all, if you don't have any life insurance and you're not sure if you would be approved, final expense would be the way to go, because at that point, at least you would have something that could pay for your funeral expenses. Um, and so all that burden, that cost isn't on your family and friends. Okay. So now what type of insurance is final expense? Okay. So final expense is whole life insurance, okay? And so whole life insurance means that once you purchase the policy, as long as you continue to pay the premiums, then you will have the policy for your entire life. And the premiums normally don't fluctuate, they normally stay the same, okay? Um, Now, also, you can, because it is whole life, final expense does have some cash value benefit to it. However, it isn't like a whole lot, but it does have some. You would have to check with the carrier, looking at your policy and see how much cash value you would be accumulating. And again, the earlier you purchase the policy, the more time you have to accumulate the cash value. Okay. So now, what are some things that you could do? You can use final expense for. Final expense can be used for to pay for your funeral services, obviously. The cemetery plot, your casket, the headstone, the viewing, transportation, paying all the expenses that go with the funeral home and the transportation, for flowers, embalming, the programs, the obituaries, everything included um, in the funeral service. Okay. Now, also some additional things that can be covered with final expense is legal fees, debts, medical bills. Um, it can help out to pay the mortgage, credit cards, car payments. You can use final expense for any and all expenses. There is no limit to what you can use the proceeds for. Okay. So now here are three important things that you want to consider when you are choosing final expense insurance. Okay. So one, you need to look at who is responsible for your expenses. Okay. So um, before you purchase any life insurance, you want to make sure that you have it very clear in your mind that you are responsible for your final expenses, not your children, not your spouse, not your mama. You are responsible for your final expenses. Now, if somebody else purchased a policy um, on your behalf for you, that's great. But however, nobody's obligated to do that. And so you want to always make sure that you keep that in mind as you're living life, because I know life gets busy and hectic with everything that we have going on. But you have to remember that at some point you're not going to be here anymore. And so you need to make sure that you have financially provided for when that time comes. Okay. Now, you also want to think about if you are married, um, what is what happens to your spouse when they're left behind? Okay. Um, you know, and if you guys have children as well, or if you're not married, but you have children, what's going to happen to my children financially? You know, because we don't know when that time comes. And so if your children are young, if you have small children, you definitely want to be more proactive in making sure that you have some type of coverage, so that they can be financially provided for. Okay. And then some other things is you want to think about how could I pay for um, my final expenses and funeral if I don't have life insurance. Okay, what are some other options? Okay, there's two of them here on my shirt. Okay, so you can get a GoFundMe, and you can also sell fish plates or do a bake sale or do a car wash, or do any other thing that you can to raise the money. Okay, to come up with the money. Okay. um Now, why would um why would somebody choose final expense, right? I mean, it's life insurance, so it is going to pay. But you're looking at, man, I'm getting this life insurance, but I'm not getting a whole lot for the death benefit. because most final expense policies, they cap out at $50,000. And so you might be saying, man, I don't even know if that's a good bargain because all I'm getting is $50,000. Well, if the funeral is 10, that's only going to leave 40 for my family members, right? Um, However, you want to shift your focus to, you know, I'm able to contribute to, I'm going to be able to make sure that my funeral and final expenses are taken care of. And then anything left over, my children will be able to have. Okay. Um, you always want to look at um, the positive, right? So, because when you focus on the positive of things, it makes making decisions a lot easier. That's what I found personally for me. When I focus on the positive, it helps me to make decisions easier than just always constantly harping on the negative. Okay. Um, One way to choose to see if final expense would be right for you is to first of all assess your budget. Okay. Assess your budget and make sure that you can actually afford the policy, because once you get the final expense, if you don't keep up with the premiums and the policy cancels because of lack of premium, when you go to reinstate it, the premium will be higher because it will be considered, the premium will be at your age you currently are and not the age that you were when you first took out the policy before it lapsed. Okay. So you want to always assess your budget, make sure that you can fit that in there. Okay. You also want to look at your age and your health. The healthier you are, if you are a very healthy person, then you don't have to get final expense. Okay. Now, if you are somebody who you have health, excuse me, you have health conditions, then final expense may be good for you. Now, it depends upon your health condition. If you are somebody who just has, say, hypertension, then you more than likely would be able to be approved for say, a term policy. And so or you may be approved for a whole life policy where you could get a higher amount. However, the premium may be a little higher. You may be, rated a little higher, but you would be able to get more, right? Or depending upon who it is, especially if it's simplified issue, which you don't, it's underwritten, but it's normally like just a few questions you answer, and so if you can pass those, answer no to most of those questions, then you get approved, and those are higher amounts. Okay. So final expense really is not for everybody that has health conditions. Okay. You really just have to assess your health, see, where your health is. If you're somebody who has like an autoimmune disease, and you're in the hospital a lot, you definitely want to look into final expense versus somebody who maybe you have hypertension and you're on one blood pressure medication. You can look into simplified issue, and um, you would more than likely get approved, and it can be for a higher amount. Okay. All right. And so you also want to evaluate your coverage needs. Okay. Um, what do you want to do when it comes to your final expense? You want to know, okay, how do you want your funeral to be? Okay. And I don't think this is something that's not talked about a whole lot, but like, what do you want your funeral to look like? Like, do you want an over the top funeral? Do you want something simple? Do you only want to be cremated? Because whatever you want as far as your funeral services, that that will kind of help you to determine how much you are wanting to get when it comes to final expense. Okay. Final expense is insurance that will normally pay out relatively quickly. Um, so it doesn't take a whole long time. You can normally get final expense, um, a claim paid out within about 7 days. Okay. So it doesn't take a whole long time, as with other types of insurance, it could take a little longer, um, just depending upon the type of policy. Okay. So you also want to keep that in mind as well. Okay. Now, when it comes to final expenses, it's easy to apply for. Okay, there is no medical exam. You cannot ever be canceled unless you don't pay your premium. Okay, the plan, it does build some cash value. The funds are set up immediately, so it's nothing has to be waiting. You can get it like really quickly. Okay, it does relieve your family of the financial burden of having to pay for the funeral and all the and things, and it reduces the emotional toll on your family. When my mama died, my mom and my daddy died. They both died, and the one thing that me and my brothers didn't have to worry about was how were we going to bury our parents. Okay, we did not have to worry about that. They had all of their they had their insurance, they had everything mapped out, and so all we had to do was just follow what they had mapped out, execute what they had mapped out. And so it was such a relief to us, and the family, that we were able to focus on, laying my parents to rest and not having to be worried about how we gonna come up with the money to pay for this or how we gonna come up with the money for that. Everything was taken care of, and so it was such a relief to us. And so that's one of the big things about when it comes to insurance, but especially final expense, is because it relieves you of that burden, the emotional burden of not only are you dealing with the loss of your loved one, but you also have to deal with how we're going to pay to put them to rest, right? And so that's another thing that you want to think about. Now, most most final expense do have a few additional benefits that you can look at. One, they can be guaranteed to never increase in price. The guaranteed death benefit cannot be lowered. The money is received as tax free. So when you do receive the death benefit, it is received as tax free. Funds are made available almost immediately to the beneficiary after death. Okay. So if you have a policy, someone has a policy and they die today, you make the claim tomorrow, then within 7 days you will have the funds. Okay. And for most carriers now, um, with things being so streamlined, you can probably get it in 1 to 3 days. Okay. So it does, you do get the money very quickly so that you can go ahead and start making your funeral arrangements and knowing that that money is there, is going to be coming in. Okay. A lot of times, if you are working with whatever funeral home that you are working with, you can they will actually do the claim for you, and so then it'll help you to streamline that process to get the ball rolling even easier. Okay, they know how to do that. Okay. Now, some of the final expense policies, they can have a terminal illness rider on them, which allows a portion of the policy to be used early if you are diagnosed with an illness that has a 24-month or less lifespan for you. So say you were to get diagnosed with a very aggressive cancer, then you would be able to, if your policy has this provision, you would be able to utilize um, that terminal illness and to help with some of the medical bills that you may have. Okay. All right. So now you definitely want to shop around when you are looking for final expense insurance. And now, if you are working with an agent, then your agent more than likely, after you sit down and you do a whole assessment with your agent, then your agent would be able to, based upon your needs from the assessment, they would be able to find the best top two policies for you, go over those with you, and then you would be able to choose which one you thought would be the best for you. Okay. Now, let's see here. What else we want to talk about? Now, you definitely want to ask any questions that you have. You want to ask any questions that you have regarding life insurance during your consultation with your agent or broker, whoever you're working with. You want to ask questions. Then you also want to, once you have all your questions answered, once you get the policy, you want to make sure that you do a policy review, um, and making sure that you understand what will and won't be covered with the policy. Okay. Most have a look period so that you can kind of check the policy out. And if you're not feeling it, you can always cancel and get your money back. Okay. Um, let's see here. There used to be some plans that, I mean, some not plans, but health coverages, health conditions that final expense that no insurance would cover. But here now in 2025, I have not come across any carrier that does not cover an insure a condition. So it really does not matter what condition you have. There are carriers out there that will cover those conditions. Okay. And so now the only thing that I have seen is maybe like if you have a terminal illness and your life expectancy is 12 months or less, that is maybe probably one of the only reasons that you may get denied. Um, but other than that, I have not seen too many where you will be denied. Okay, especially if you are going to be living longer than 2 years. Okay, um, so let's see here. All right, so that's what I have for you when it comes to final expense. Now, a lot of people look at final expense as if final expense is just for, say, older people, because when you look on TV and all of the commercials, it is marketed towards older people. So, um, say like 55 and up, okay, because a lot of people feel that around that age is when people really start looking into life insurance. um, and so I'm going to say that if you are younger than that, but you have health conditions and maybe it's some serious health conditions, then you want to start looking into life insurance now. Okay. You don't want to wait. If you are 45 and older, you definitely want to look into it. You can get final expense. You will be eligible for it. At that point, you can really look into final expense because, again, the younger you are, and it doesn't matter what type of insurance it is, the younger you are, the cheaper your premium will be for the policy. Okay, so the earlier you look into it, the better. But also, even if you did get final expense, um, with a health condition, there are other insurances that you can tie into that that you can get that will help to pay for coverage should you have to go into the hospital or things of that nature. So it can still kind of relieve some burden from you as you are, moving through life, and so that when life is done, you aren't spending as much on medical bills and things of that nature from your final expense proceeds, because you've had other policies that has handled that throughout your life. And so you definitely want to at that point, you'll be able to leave more behind for your loved ones, for your children, okay? If that's what you so wish to do, okay? All right, so I hope, Mike, that you found value. The intention was that this live was useful, helpful, and insightful. And so if it was, please do give it a thumbs up and share out the live so that others can find value as well. Now, if you do not have insurance and you are needing life insurance and you would like to sit down and have a conversation with me to see which type of life insurance would be best for you and your situation, you can definitely click the link in the description of this live or on the homepage of this channel, and you can book a consultation with me, okay? And we will go over your all of your, we'll do a good assessment, and then we will come up with the policies that would be best for you, okay? Also, if you are wanting to know how to calculate life insurance, you know you need it, but you don't know how much you need, and so if you're wanting to um, learn how to calculate your life insurance, I have a free ebook that you can get. It The link to that is also in the description of this live. Okay. All right. And so again, any questions, put them in the chat. And if you don't have anything else, well, I don't have anything else. I don't have anything else. So I will see you on the next one. And remember that no one is coming to save you. Okay. And so you have to make sure that you save yourself. Okay. Have a good one.